Alrighty, hi guys, I hope that you guys enjoyed that video. We just wanted to sit down and kind of explain things just a little bit more in depth. There was a couple of things that just kind of got missed out, things that we kind of like skimmed over, and that's totally our bad, but we were trying to get this up before we moved in, and so it was kind of like a go type of a thing. So yeah, we just wanted to kind of sit down so that if you guys did want to recreate or needed an idea for your own house, you could actually watch this video and take something away from it.
Yeah.
So when we got here, all we had was a 10 by 10 slab of concrete, and then as you saw in the video, there are pavers that were alongside where we're sitting was all pavers. And so we ripped out the pavers and we dug, how far?
I think a 12-inch hole.
A 12-inch
12-inch hole.
Okay.
10 by 30 on the right-hand side of the 10 by 10 concrete slab, and then a 10 by 8 on the other side, both for 12 inches deep. It was a little excessive. You didn't need to go that deep. You could just take like the sod and the topsoil off, and that'd be just fine. You just got to make sure you put 3/4 down right under that. I got all my 3/4 for free. We just know a guy that does that, so we got our 3/4 from him.
3/4 gravel, right? Gravel mix, yeah.
Yep. It's like a sand rock mix.
Yeah.
We laid all that down. We laid in 4-inch concrete, so 8 inches. For me personally, I would do at least 6 inches because you're gonna have 4 inches of concrete, depending on how deep your grass is and like where it's all sitting. I had to dig down pretty deep. I dug down level with I thought the 4-inch concrete that we already had, and I thought that was level, but I ended up digging down quite a bit more because to the right there's a little bit more of a hill, to the left there's a downward slope, so it just kind of evens out. My dad and I shot the grade. You got to shoot a grade so that when you pour the concrete, the water flows away from the house if it rains. Somehow my dad and I eyeballed it perfect on 2% slope away from the house. So 2% slope is just enough for the water. Like every time we hose the patio off or it gets wet, it just runs right out into the grass, which is totally fine. We dug out 11 feet away from the house because you got to have room for the 2x4 and the metal stake in the back for the backing in order to support the concrete before it dries. My buddy did it while I was at work, and it cost $1,600 for all the concrete to get poured, and that was a really good deal that we got. I'm pretty sure most companies will probably charge just about that to lay down that much concrete. So that was the first bill. The rest of it I did myself. I had my brother come out, asked him what he would do, what material he would use, what his take on it would be, yada this and that. Then he pretty much said that you're going to need 2x6s for pretty much just the run down of each side, so that the far length of it, and then on the ends. So 2x6s hold a lot more weight, so we just used those. So I bought 100 foot of 2x6. I bought 40 foot of pressure treated 2x6, so 60 foot of just normal 2x6.
So this is the outside border of all of it. So that's what you'll see if you're standing outside of our patio right now. That is what you're seeing on the outside.
2x6.
Yeah.
It just has better support, and it's more material that you can use. If there's like a knot in your way when you're trying to put a hanger on for a 2x4, you can just kind of move it slightly. So then the next thing we bought was 2x4s. We marked them every 24 inches down it, all of which were 13 feet long, and then we just cut those to length. The 2x4s run from the house down. We put hangers on the end of the house, and then on the end of the pergola we just screwed it in. So a 2x6 was right here, we put the 2x4 right here, and then on the back end we just screwed in 3-inch T25 deckmate screws, just straight through, 3-inch straight through the 2x4 through the 2x6, so it's sitting like a T like this. The legs of the pergola of ours are built out of 4x6s. We got those from my dad's work, so those were free to us. They didn't cost us anything. We looked at them at Home Depot. They're about $40 a piece.
And we have 5 of them.
So
that was a really big cost saving. And then they were just bare wood, and we stained them really dark, and I love it. It matches the rest of it, and I also stained the whole outside border of it. So, because we know that that's what's going to be showing.
All the 2x6s are stained besides the part that's on the house.
The 2x4 part, obviously you'll learn that in a minute, but that one I did not have to stain because it gets covered on top and bottom, so you don't see it. But if you were going to leave it exposed so that you had sun coming through, then you would probably want to stain it.
4x6s went up, and on the outside of the 4x6, we put lag bolts through the 2x6 into the 4x6. There's no brackets, there's no nothing. They're just screwed straight through and mounted. On the bottom of the 4x6, I drilled down 5 inches into the concrete with a concrete drill bit, and then we got 4x4 post mounts, I guess is what you call them. There's like a couple different types that you can use, but my brother recommended the part you drill your, I think it was a 1/2 inch hole straight down, 1/2 inch width, 5 inches down. You take your bolt, and it's got a wedge on the end of it, and you literally take a hammer and beat it down as far as you can. And then you put your there's a spacer on the bottom of the 4x4 bracket that the 4x6 will sit on top and kind of keep it from being level with the concrete, so that if there's water or anything, it doesn't have any water damage. The bolt will have excess. You cut the excess off, you lay your bracket down, you mount your 4x6 on the top, and on the sides of each mount they have holes, and then you just put your big bolts through. I drilled 2 1/2 inch bolts, 1/2 inch holes, and I shoved bolts through, so they're bolted all the way through and compressed in. On the top of the 2x4s, we made them level with the top of the 2x6, so that when I put the roof on, it wouldn't be all wobbly. But it kind of ended up being wobbly anyway, because it's a PVC roofing rather than like a metal roofing. Metal roofing was $50 a piece for a 12 foot by 3 foot sheet, and then the PVC roofing, which is a little bit more flexible, it was $22 a piece. So those ones we bought all flat out. We bought 22 of them.
But because we did the little bit more flimsy version of it, we did end up putting a little bit of a brace with the excess 2x4s that we had. So we ran them along the middle, just kind of staggered in between each hole, so that there's at least a little bit of a brace in the middle of each one of those.
Yes.
But it's rained quite a bit, and honestly, I haven't noticed any bowing. You can see the pergola or roofing or whatever you want to call it straight from our bedroom window. Our bedroom window's like this far up from it, and so we can see it. And honestly, I haven't noticed any pooling or anything like that, so it's been pretty good. And honestly, I don't mind it. It doesn't look any different to me, and it honestly matches the house better because it's kind of a tan color. So, yeah, it was much more cost effective. We just had to put extra 2x4 in it. And what, you probably used 3 of them because of how short you cut it?
Each 2x4 was cut roughly 24 inches and placed in between the other 2x4s just for a center brace.
Yeah.
Because the 2x4s are so long. When the PVC went in, it would bow in the middle, so we just put a brace in the middle to kind of like support a little bit better of that middle piece. But you can tell, I mean, it's PVC, it's pretty thin. When it's super hot, you can see a little bit of drooping in that PVC, and there's just a little bit of drop in some of them. If it were metal, it would have just been structurally sound already and gone. But since I didn't, usually with PVC or metal roofing, you put OSB board across the top for just like a better of a support. I didn't do that. Time will tell if I probably should have, and if I need to redo it, I will. I can just take it all off, put the OSB board down, and then put the PVC back right over top of it. It's not a big deal. And then where it butts up, part of the PVC roofing butts up straight against the house, just straight like this. And then if it rains, the water from the roof, which is another story up, just falls off and falls in the middle of the roof and then runs away. The other half of the pergola ran into the roof. So the roof would be right here, and then the pergola butts up right to the roof. Right there, I took 2 10-foot sheets of metal, just really thin galvanized steel, pried up just the first little lip of the shingles that are on the side of the roof, slid a little section of the metal up into it and let it run down onto the pergola's roof, and that kept it from draining in that crack where they meet up, where the 2 roofs meet up, because it was pretty much soaking. It was dripping right through. Like
we were lucky because it's rained. Like, we never get rain, I feel like, in the summertime like this, and I feel like we've gotten like 6 nights of heavy storms right after this was up, which was nice because we were able to fix the problems like that.
Yeah, it showed us where our problems were.
So then we were able to move on after putting on all of the support. So everything is honestly structurally sound at this point. The rest of what we're doing is just for show, I guess you can call it. The metal roofing, you don't have to do that if you want sun coming through. Our main goal with this was that I can bring Sutton out here, our son, without having to put sunscreen on him every single time he comes outside, or we can come out here in the rain. We have been able to. We can be out here right now and don't have to be baked ourselves. That was my main goal, at least with this. So we put the metal roofing on there for the shade, and then the ceiling part of it was all just our taste, I guess you can call it. So with that, before we were able to put up the ceiling part, we ran wire for the lighting. His buddy did it. We ran wire into the middle where we knew that the lights would hang, because we put a light in between each one of our legs. And then we cut off you see it in the video, we cut off the rounded part of the fence, and then we cut off the bottom part where like it's been eaten up by like lawnmowers or just being in the ground and all of the stuff that happens to fences. So we cut off both those parts, and you seriously cannot tell. No one has been able to tell that this is fence. Everybody thinks that this is like barnwood and stuff and asks where we get it. Luckily, some lady was giving it away for free on Facebook Market. It was like, I don't think I've ever seen fence like this. Like, our fence doesn't look like this, so I don't know what the heck was going on with her fence. That is the coolest stuff. So we cut off the top and bottom, and we were able to finish nail gun up onto the 2x4s, because they run this way and the ceiling runs this way. So usually when we were putting them up, we ran into like 2 or 3 2x4s that we were able to nail it to. And then on the ends, we actually didn't know this until we hit about right where we're sitting. We ended up putting scrap from where we had cut off the bottoms and the tops. We've put those on the end of each piece, so that when we would put one next to each other, it wasn't off. It would be able to nail again.
It's like a brace.
Yeah.
So at the end of one piece of fence panel, that is what I call them. Yeah. And it's old and twisted, and it'll like warp like this. And then the other one comes in, and it's probably sitting like this. Well, in between the two, you put a piece of scrap that you've already cut off, nail it to the bottom of one, and then that bottom one you can suck it up, and then they would butt up much better, much more flush. Because that scrap's kind of holding them together. So that's pretty much what she was saying.
So yeah, the scrap didn't need to be there for the sense of it staying up or anything like that. It just needed to be there for it looking flush, looking cleaner, looking nicer, things like that. So that was like a 1.5 month process. I feel the whole frame went up in a day. Him and his 2 buddies did it. That went up in a day. The concrete went up in an afternoon, or went down in an afternoon. And the ceiling literally took a 1.5 months on its own, I feel like.
Because that was just Hadley and I putting it up. After I got off work, we were still living in the apartment, so we would have to drive over here, do what we could while we were here, and then go home. And then the rest of it went up after we moved in. We were about 3/4 of the way done. Then we moved into the house, got everything settled in. We didn't even touch the back patio for a week. Then we came in here, finished putting up the ceiling, which is the fence panels that run across. And then my buddy's the one that actually convinced me to put lights and speakers in here. Okay, so I ran the speaker wire myself, and then I had him come out and just wire them in, because I just wanted to make sure like it was wired correctly and I didn't cross any wires or do anything stupid. And it turned out really well. Like, it looks really nice. It looks clean. They're just white. They flush mount. What we did was I got a 6-inch hole saw, and we marked out dead center where we wanted each light to be. Took that 6-inch hole saw, cut a hole through the ceiling, and then these are LED lights that have a box for the settings and then like the power. That's where you wire in the actual connections. You wire that in, and then you take your LED light, you plug it in to that box, and then everything stuffs up into the roof. And the lights have little prongs that come out like this. So you you close the prongs in, you shove it in, and then they just fall back out because they're on springs, and now they're just held in by tension. And it's the same idea with the speakers, except the speakers holes were 6.5 inches, which sucked because then we had to figure out a whole new way to cut a hole. The lights went in easy because the hole was perfect. It was a hole saw. Speakers were a different idea.
That was like an hour process. They were like up and in and ready and working in an hour. It was the fastest thing ever. Yeah. The speakers were probably only like a 2-hour job though. It wasn't like it was much longer at all.
It was just a pain.
Yeah, it was a pain. And then once we got it completely in and completely up and everything, we had to buy a receiver, and it's just up on our wall in this cute little box.
I blew it after using it for 10 seconds.
Yeah.
I hit the volume on the button and it. So
and
I
you
thought
could
I
hear
destroyed
it.
it.
It was just like boom, and we were like, oh my gosh. We thought that the speakers itself had blown, but the receiver is what had blown, which was so much better. We would much rather have that. So we just fixed that, and it is working. It's Bluetooth. It's so nice. You can hear it completely, because we had put them we put the lights completely centered into each. We centered it this way in the thing, and then we also centered it in between each leg. So they're lighting everything. They even light our yard pretty well too once it's really dark. But we put the speakers as far to the front of the thing, as the pergola, as we could, so then you can hear it very well under here, and it's not drowning you out because it's not right above you. And then it's also totally, you can hear it totally fine out there.
And you can hear it out in the yard. It's not loud, it's not obnoxious loud, and it's just, it's enjoyable. It's definitely enjoyable. Yeah, we're gonna like show you what we just explained to you. So, and if you do have questions, you can always just let us know.
So, if you have any other questions, as detailed as you need it, if you need more price, anything, we're an open book about this. We're not quiet about it. It was pretty penny, but we did it pretty cost effective. We loved it. This was like the biggest project we've ever done. So please ask us your questions if you have any at all. Also, if you want to come hang out with us underneath it, please let me know too, because I want to hang out underneath it any chance we get.
True.
But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe down below. If you are new here, we also vlog our daily lives, and those videos are down below too. Our son's super cute, so go check him out. But yeah, we will see you next video. Bye guys.
Bye guys. Okay, so now we're just gonna have a short clip of like the actual patio, so you guys can see what we just explained to you. So these are the fence panels. This is what we're talking about. As they go up, they go down this way. This is one of the lights that we put in. Like we said, it's just a flush mount light. You can see how thin it mounts against it. And then over here, against the yard, is the speaker that we mounted. Also, what you were talking about with see that gap right there? When we figured out that we needed to use a piece of scrap to line up the wood, the gaps got much smaller. You see that? And then they just go all the way down the patio. Like I was talking about, the 4x6s were given to us. They just go straight through. And then the mounting bracket is what I was saying. It's down here. You drill straight down, 5 inches down, threaded, all thread, I guess, is what you call it. Gets punched down into the hole, and then the wedge comes out, and you bolt the top of it. The side mount we were talking about. So right here is that plate that goes over the bolt, and then the 4x6 sits on top. So if it's wet, the water doesn't rot out the wood. The 1/2 inch bolts that I ran through all the way through are bolted on and tightened down to keep everything stiff.